Hey, Andrea.
Yeah.
Oh, are you? Anthony, will you unmute real quick? Where's Anthony?
Hi, this is Anthony. Hi, this is Anthony. I came off mute.
Someone will.
We can hear you.
Well, fine. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for everyone being here, and Andrea joining us by Zoom. Thank you, and Anthony Lane. Let me call us to order at 6:01 for a regular meeting. And let's see, technically we do have one alternate slot open, but we've sent our recommendation to City Council. That goes to Council on March 3, which is next week. So we'll make, Anthony and I will present ourselves to council and see what their pleasure is there. If they were to appoint him, we'd have a full complement of 7 members and 3 alternates. And you can look at other city committees and see that that is not the case. So that's kind of impressive. So thank you. Next on the agenda, we look at the agenda review, and I'm tutored by the city clerk to ask for a motion to approve the agenda. So take a look. Are there any changes? Do you want to? We don't need to change the order of anything. Sometimes we do that, but there was one change. You may recall El Paso County Parks, their trail staff had asked to come and introduce themselves to us, which was pretty nice, quite the courtesy. And Jillian had coordinated that, but it turned out just did not work for tonight. They had to cancel. So we're going to put that on the March agenda and see if we can do that. And we'll get an update on the U Pass Trail. I'm sure at that point there have been some articles in the paper. Any comments on the agenda? Anybody want to make any changes or anything? No? Can I have a motion to approve it? Apparently the city clerk says we need to do that.
Motion to approve.
By Paul and.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. And can I have a second?
Second from Robin.
By Robin. Thanks, Robin. Discussion on that one. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Any public comment on non-agenda items? Jillian, do we have any participants? Mr. Lane? Okay. All right, then we'll close that. We have 3 minutes to approve.
Hello. Mr. Chair, Dave?
We didn't see you.
Can you hear me?
We can, Corey. Hello, good evening. What do you have?
Hi. May I make a comment, public comment?
You may, but because you're looking up, you look like you're in an altered state of consciousness. So you might want to
I'll pull over.
Look down. Go ahead, Corey. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Corey Satella of 216 Pilot Knob Avenue. And I am the director, as you know, of Medicine Wheel Trail Advocates. And so just wanted to remind the committee that we are excited about doing trail work all throughout our region. And we had some really great success partnering with OSAC last year on the Inman Trail. And we are eager to do some more trail work in Manitou this year. So I had a little chat with Paul. Hopefully we'll find out the right way that we can go about this and start working with staff and with OSAC to plan some trail work for this year. So thanks for your partnership and looking forward to more of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Corey. Thanks for offering that. You are on, I say you, that topic is definitely on the agenda and on our planning schedule to make sure we address it. So thank you. Any other participants? I don't think so. So we'll go ahead and close that. Go back to the minutes. We have 3 minutes, taking them in order. October 27. There any comments or any changes, any amendments to make? I don't see any, so I'm hold on a motion right now. We may just do all 3 of these at once, depending on what kind of amendments we have. November 17th, that was one of the AI drafts. And it came up last month, and it really had a number of errors. So we took another look at that. I made a number of revisions, and Kristen, the assistant clerk, looked at it too. Any changes, any revisions to that? Don't see any. Let's go to January 29. This is last month's meeting. There's a gap in the middle for that executive session. Any changes, anything to note on that? Don't see any. Well, then how about Robin, if you could do a motion on all 3?
I'd make a motion to approve all 3, October 27, 2025, November 17, 2025, and January 29, 2026 minutes.
Thank you, Robin. Do I have a second? I'm gonna look at there. Judy Karnak. Thank you, Judy, for a second. And all in favor of approving the 3 minutes as Robin moved? Raise your hands. Ms. Klein, you agree on that one? You do? Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So that passed. Jillian, before we leave that, do you have any comments on how the minutes are getting generated? Is it being done by a program? I mean, how's it doing? I think it's working, but what do you think?
It's working. So the minutes right now do go through 3 people. So I'm sending you the AI generated draft from the Zoom recording.
Okay.
And then you're drafting the minutes, you're sending them to me. I'm kind of doing my own edits and then sending them to Kristen, who does her official city clerk edits, and then sends them back to me. And then I put them in our folder. So
Yep.
it's just going through a few hands, but I have no issue with it. How do you think it's going?
Yeah, I'm pleased with the drafts have varied in their quality. The October one was really well done. The November 17 had a number of, we would actually talk about something and AI would say no discussion was held. And so I checked my notes, but I'm satisfied doing that. It doesn't take much time at all. So I'm good with that. If it's working for you as well, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and we can continue that discussion when we do the election of officers, because if we're continuing how we're going now, that would be omitting the secretary
It
position
would. Yep.
again.
Okay. Thank you. Well then, don't turn off yet, Ms. Rossi. We're going to move to reports. And Jillian's got a couple of things on her list. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so before I talk about the funding request for our Volunteers for Outdoor Colorado Day, Paul and I went on a hike last Saturday with Manuel Polito and Mike Mayo with the Cultural Heritage Museum, Manitou Heritage Museum, and a few other folks to the sacred site in Black Canyon Open Space that Manny and Mike had presented during the last OSAC meeting, just sharing information about how the site had been vandalized. There were some large stones knocked over. They'd done some work on repairing it. And it was a pretty interesting conversation about how to put our master plan, to implement our master plan, but not draw too much attention and create more damage to the sacred site. So lots of good conversation, I thought. And I did remind Mike and Manny that the sacred site was mentioned during the master plan process. Kimley Horn was up there. They know where the site is. The proposed trail, the upper level orange trail on the master plan, that was designed with that site in mind to keep folks away from it. So in my mind, we had already done our due diligence. We'd gone up there with Manny to check it out. And then the master plan was kind of developed around keeping that site safe from folks who are using that multi-use trail. But what I was hearing from our most recent hike and what you guys might have heard at the last OSAC meeting was we were asked to revisit that master plan. So I do want to go on that hike again with the Palmer Land Conservancy, with Anna Cordova, who's the city archaeologist for the city of Colorado Springs. Well, former, she's the Garden of the Gods park manager now, but she's managing cultural sites all over Garden of the Gods Park that are directly adjacent to public trails. So I want to get her thoughts on it too before we kind of broach changing the master plan, which we would need to take back to city council after reviewing it with OSAC first. Paul, do you want to share? You were there too, so do you want to share some insights?
Yeah, just I mean, it would appear that there's been a long standing social trail that goes to that site. The same thing that probably caused the site to be built there is part of what attracts folks to that location. There's a really good view from that spot, which I think just over the years has attracted people, some folks for that site and others just for the view. And so, you know, it's not a matter of not building a trail there, because there already is a trail that takes you directly to that site. It also, it sounded like there might be some activity of someone like intentionally building trail, and that's not the case. There's no evidence of, or it didn't appear that anyone's doing any kind of trail building or construction in that area. So, you know, it's hard to tell whether someone just moved those rocks for, you know, intentionally, or whether they were just moving rocks because they were bored. Hard to tell, but you know, it doesn't appear that there's anyone who's doing any kind of trail construction that's impacting that site. I think whatever we do, we'll just have to be mindful that folks are going to want to go to that site. There's obviously people that know about it and are going to want to continue to go there. Even if we close that trail, we'd still have to work hard to try to keep people, well, and the folks who use it for spiritual reasons, I mean, they're going to continue to use it and need to have access to it. So, you know, this will be, I think, a partnership. Manny seemed pretty reasonable to work with, and that we can come to a resolution, monitor it over time. If we have to make changes, we'll do that. But anyway, look, more than happy to help support anything we need to make. Yeah.
I saw Cassandra first, and then
sure.
Marion.
Where did you guys end up in the discussion regarding a sign? That was something that came up.
We didn't get too deep into the weeds as far as what the sign would look like. I personally think a sign is an excellent option. We could say something similar to culturally sensitive area beyond this point. Please be respectful. It doesn't need to be, you know, a paragraph or a litany of rules, but just reminding folks that it's a shared space. And we wouldn't have our official trail system going to the site. There's already an unofficial trail to the site that's been used for generations up there. So my thoughts are we should definitely have a sign. I don't know if fencing the area off would work, but I think, and Paul, you had a good suggestion of making another destination point near that area with another beautiful view, maybe a bench, just so folks have a place to go and then continue on their way. They wouldn't be kind of poking around trying to look for, I guess, the culturally sensitive area, but people are going to go there regardless. Manny said it's used about 8 times a year by folks who go up there for vision quests. So it's still an important area that we want people to be able to access, but not necessarily just all of our mountain bikers and hikers and folks using the open space.
Yeah, I mean, I'd look forward to the comments from the folks who want to go tour it with. You know, one strategy for signage is you put up generic signs early that say, "Hey, stay on the trail. There's, you know, significant areas. Please don't disturb anything." And then you're not really tipping where that location is. If you put a sign right at the spot, well, now you've drawn attention to it. And so, you know, there's, you know, pluses and minuses to how you do the signage. And, you know, again, I think you can start one way, and if that doesn't work, you could adjust it later.
To finish that up then, I'll check with you before the March meeting and see if you've had a chance to meet with Anna. Or you
Yeah, I
said
think-
Anna, and there was one other, was it Manny again?
Palmer Land Conservancy,
Okay.
and we'd have Manny on the hike again also. But Palmer, they have pretty specific rules in place when it comes to designing master plans around culturally sensitive areas. And there's also and some of the members of OSAC who have been here a while might have it. There was an archaeological assessment done of Black Canyon. Does that, I haven't seen that. So I asked Mike to send that my way. Because I want to make sure that I have a good grasp on that and also share it with Palmer Land Conservancy and other folks who are going to be helping us keep that area safe.
I think I have it in my file, so if I have a digital copy, I'll send it.
Okay. Thanks. And Marion, go ahead.
The first thing as I recall, that the city would pay for any sign, is that correct?
Yes.
And the second one is it possible for any of us to join you on I think you said you were going to go up there for a while. Can we join you, or that's not permitted?
It would be the same rules as the Sunshine Law. So I believe as long as we don't have more than 2 OSAC members, we could have 2 OSAC members. We just can't have 3 because then it would be a meeting and I'd have to open it up to everybody. And it's not a place where we want to have a large group, for sure.
Just let me know if it's, I would be one that would be interested.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, this actually relates to Black Canyon in a different way. So we have our Volunteers for Outdoor Colorado Trail Work Day on Saturday, April 4th. So far, Judy and Craig have signed up. So thank you guys for signing up for that. And whenever I was filling out the application to have Volunteers for Outdoor Colorado come down here, one of the questions is, would your organization be able to fund any part of this volunteer day? And I checked the yes box because I assumed that OSAC could contribute something. So my ask today or tonight is, does OSAC want to contribute any funding towards this project? So in general, the VOC days cost about $4,000 to run. That's from the program manager who I've been communicating with. So my ask tonight is, does OSAC want to fund part of that cost? It's not mandatory. This is us. This would be OSAC, just voting to fund part of this, to take some of that cost and give it to other projects. So what do you guys think? Judy?
I have a question. What is that $4,000 amount cover?
So that covers promoting the event. It covers the Volunteers for Outdoor Colorado staff, the ones who review all the applications every year and find the volunteers and the crew leaders for the event. And I assume any organization that goes along with it that's not being provided by the city. And I can get a full breakdown from their program manager, but the email was fairly vague that these events cost $3,000 to $4,000 to put on for each project. That's a great question. Yeah.
Well, as a follow-up, what's to stop us from asking the community? Well,
Yeah, what do you mean?
you put an ad in the city paper that comes out every week, every month, every week, every other week. I don't know, but I think it's every week.
Yeah.
Saying, volunteers and contributions wanted, help us clean up Black Canyon.
I don't see why we couldn't do that.
I mean, even if it raises 500, that's 500 that nobody else has to come up with.
Yeah.
And my other thought was, because we've done it so many times, not OSAC, but a previous committee I was on for, one of the ways we got, one of the reasons that we were able to do so many unbelievable cleanups at Rainbow Falls before we even owned it was we went to places like Home Depot and Lowe's and anywhere else, and we just told them what we were doing and asked them, and they were more than generous. They were just, in all the instances I can remember, every time I was in there, it was like trail building Christmas. They just want to know what we needed.
I think that's a great idea. And just a reminder, this workday is not trash cleanup. This is only trail maintenance and trail building. I know that MSPD is going to plan on another big cleanup up there. They've already held 2. And that could be something where maybe for that one, we ask the community for donations for the cleanup, but any money we put towards this would be going to the Volunteers for Outdoor Colorado organization.
Oh, so not for equipment.
No.
Okay.
When we met with a coordinator on site, we also talked about, I don't know if it was them or us, providing the refreshments, down at the base, the snacks and the water, and I think one porta potty. I presume that was our expense, but
And that was part of our application also, that we'd be able to provide some light refreshments for folks and a restroom.
right, okay.
So I guess you could consider that an in-kind donation. But the ask tonight is if we're willing to fund anything additional that we haven't already offered to contribute to the event. Yeah.
Is there like a customary percentage that shows gratitude, like a 10 or 20? I don't know, just out of curiosity, like
Yep.
hundreds big, but is there an amount that's usual? Just out of curiosity, not that we have to follow that.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read you it's short and sweet, this email request. VOC projects run from $3,000 to $4,000 per day. Are you able to contribute some or all of that to help Volunteers of Outdoor Colorado help cover our costs of running a volunteer event? So I can find out that information, and our event isn't until April. So really, if I find that information, customary percentages, could bring it back to the March OSAC meeting for a final vote. They didn't give us a deadline for responding. So if you guys are comfortable with that, I could get that information.
How does that sound? Get a bit more info? I could see making at least, even up to half, the $1,500, because we're probably gonna invite them back next year. Depending on how much we get done this year, I could see that happening, but that's just my own bias. Let's get some more information. TJ, how about you?
I just have one more question. So I've worked with VOC before. They were back in the day when I was younger. They were in charge of helping out with crew leader certification, along with TOSC and that sort of thing. One question I have with this is, what is the scope of their involvement with this? Like, how much are they? What kind of tools are they bringing? How many people are they rounding up for this? You know, like, what is the scope? Is this like 10 people or 40 or what?
So we determined 25 people for this volunteer day, and they are providing the tools. They are providing the crew leaders. We're going to have staff on site also helping, because we are going to break these folks up into several smaller groups just because it's a smaller open space. But they're providing quite a bit for this, but not the granola bars or the portalette.
Any other questions on that? Yeah, Robin.
If we, put in a little bit, where would they possibly get the other funding? I'm wondering where they get the other funding for the other part. Do we know?
I think it's their administrative budget we're talking about. This is their organizational costs
Oh,
to run,
okay.
to run programs. They do so many programs a year. Do the math, it's $3,000 to $4,000 per weekend or per
Yeah.
single day event.
Okay.
I think it's
For their
pretty
personal
straightforward.
fundraising okay.
Right. So whatever we contribute to this project, they would have more money in their cash to contribute to other projects. So I think it's how they process their grants each year, or how they choose and select their projects. So if OSAC were to contribute, they might have enough money to fund an additional project in another city. So that's kind of how I see it. And I'll confirm that at the March meeting.
Or they may think, if we put in at least half that we were, they might think it highly to come back and work with us again.
I would come back again if OSAC contributed half, definitely.
Yeah, I think they would.
But we're not obligated. It's up to the committee, and I don't think there'll be any bad blood if we aren't able to contribute this year.
Yeah, Marion?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we know how the money's being used. You said at the next meeting, you're going to be specifying like 1,000 for, I'm just making this up, equipment, et cetera.
Yeah.
I think that would be very helpful.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have an itemized list
Great.
next time.
Thank you.
Any more questions on that? On that one, Judy, please.
It's not a question. I was just going to say don't they provide equipment, right?
Yes.
So it's probably more like, you know, replacing equipment as opposed to buying stuff for this thing. It's because that's ongoing. They have hard hats and I don't know if they provide
of it.
gloves. And that would be something that we could look at, seeing if we could get donated. Work gloves. But everybody, most people who volunteer have work gloves too that fit them.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on that point? I need to cover two things because one I know I missed, and the other one I want to make sure I hit. I think I started the meeting by noting that all members and alternates are here. So I just wanted to make sure I got that on the record. The other is that Carrie Storm is here, who's our council liaison, out of town last time. Otherwise, she would have been here back in January, but welcome. All right, then let's, Jillian, close that out on the director's report. Anything else right now on your list?
That's all I have for the director's comments.
Okay. All right, thanks. Then let's go to old business, which is the Bill Bowers open space. That was distributed earlier in the month so that you'd have time to look at it, think about it. So you just didn't get it in the packet. And I do apologize for the packet coming out on Friday. I know Judy has asked that it be, and Cheryl too, I think, that it be issued earlier in the week, and that's our goal, but we just didn't make it this time. So be aware that that's still the goal, and we'll try to beat that next month. But anyway, it's in your packet. I think we're going to throw it back to Jillian because let me give a little bit of the reminder. It was recommended that we update city council on where we were on the Bill Bowers open space question of whether to build a trail or not. It went before council in like September or something like that, and council suggested or directed that there be a citywide questionnaire or survey. Parks contracted with Kimley Horn. Jim Hauk, who you know, ran that project. And this is the report. The packet, what you have in the packet is actually Jim's presentation, and he couldn't make it tonight. But what you received earlier was just a little more granular survey results. Same information, just presented in a slightly different format. But Jillian, is that kind of a summary of where we are?
Yeah.
Except for the time frame.
Except for the time frame. So what was included in the packet is essentially what Jim is going to be presenting to City Council on March 10th. So we're getting a sneak preview this evening. And Jim is, of course, our consultant from Kimley Horn who put together the survey and interpreted the results. So hopefully everyone's had a chance to go through it. In short, we had just about 300 responses, which I think is great for Manitou. Most of our responses came from Zone 7, City Zone 7. Hopefully you know what zone you live in. But Zone 7 is the zone that Bill Bowers Open Space is located in. So it makes sense that over half of our responses came from that zone. And there is support for the trail. Over half of respondents are in support of a trail. And they do want to make sure that it's a natural trail. We're not pouring concrete through there. There was a lot of concern about disrupting wildlife in the area. There was support for additional environmental analyses of the area as well. So maybe doing a formal environmental assessment through another consultant, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, or other professional agencies who provide those services. Did anyone have any questions about the survey, or did anything surprise you? What are your thoughts after reviewing the results?
Robin, please.
I was surprised that there was a big support for it. It was my surprise.
Yeah, I had the same response. I thought it was a stronger level of support than I had anticipated. Either community-wide or neighborhood-wide on both levels. Who else had some observations? Anybody else? Any comments right now? I think, we do need to get some direction from council. And we'll see what they say on March 10th. Let's try to make sure, and I'll get a reminder out, but let's make sure we have some of our members there. Judy, you think you can do that, or you got a comment? I thought that was volunteering, so.
Oh. I have a question. Given what we just did with city council, are we in a position to fund this?
Well, over time, probably so.
The
But over
development of a
time.
trail.
And in terms of,
Sorry?
if we make an open space acquisition, what does that do to our budget in terms of funding Black Canyon open space, also funding
Bill Bowers.
potentially Bill Bauer? Right,
And,
absolutely.
And do we have yet any commitment from Mr. Rose about the pinch point?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you.
Do we have any commitment from Mr. Rose about the fact that we still have this pinch point problem?
Oh, for Mr. Rose, okay. No, not that I'm aware of.
Well, if you look on the map, you can see there's like from the bottom, there's a triangle. And right there, there's a pinch point, which we have technically, we don't own.
Trying to get an easement?
That's the
Well,
way,
we do, it's only about 20 feet wide and it's on a very steep hillside.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's continuous. The ownership, city's ownership is continuous, goes all the way through. It's pinch point's the right word. It's difficult. Absolutely.
And we had talked about this ever since we got it.
Well, and we walked it. I think we had 2 different days a year ago when different members walked that trail and got to appreciate in your face how difficult that pinch point is. Judy, I agree with you. It's a real obstacle.
Well, and I think the goal of this survey was to find out if OSAC should spend time figuring out how to get a trail through this property and then set a realistic timeline. This is not a project we're going to be doing this year. OSAC has already outlined goals for this year, and this will be something that will be included in future OSAC goals once we get direction from council or work on additional acquisitions. But I see this was the start of a long-term process.
Okay.
Not something that's going to happen quickly, because that area is difficult to navigate. Yeah, especially in the winter.
Yeah,
Well, I guess my only concern is Mr. Rose is not a young man.
He's not what?
A young man.
Now, which parcel is Mr. Rose's parcel in here?
This is who we bought this property from.
He owns
He owns the
everything.
property on the ridge.
Well, just left of the pinch point is all of,
Here.
all of that is
Okay.
Mr. Rose.
Yeah,
Okay.
west of the pinch point
Thank
is owned by Rose. And he had proposed a development plan and either planning staff, or I don't know if it went planning commission, but it was not well received for what he had proposed. And so that's pretty much dead in the water.
He's got
In terms of a development proposal.
2 lots left, I believe, on the, whatever, the right side. One is just ridiculous. It's up for sale. And it's just, I wouldn't build a house on it. But, and the other one I just don't know about, but I know the one of them is really, but I know they're up for sale. And they've been up for sale for a long time.
But I have to echo Jillian's comments, and this is just part of the longer term process. And again, some of you have been on the committee longer than I have. You know, it just takes a number of years for these projects to bubble up. It may take a master plan process as well. So, but this is how council wanted to start, was to take take the temperature of the neighborhood and the community on whether should we be spending time or effort on this or not. It's certainly a positive inclination that the respondents thinks we should. So let's get it in front of council and see what they have. Judy, I'll be there on March 10th, and I'll be sure to bring up the pinch point if there's any opportunity to do that. I'll make sure I remind council about that. Any other comments or questions? Or yeah, Marion?
I'm just wondering, is this, after the council meeting, will this survey results be public, or are they already public?
They're public as of last Friday when I posted the packet. But we'll make it clear. We'll put it on our website and folks will
Yeah.
be able to scroll through and everything. So yes, they will be public.
Good. And I think it will be important to also say this is something, as Dave said, it's going to take a while. It's not going to be, tomorrow. Yeah.
It's part of the process.
And so what I thought was the most interesting about this survey was I really liked this question. What OSAC open space development and project priority do you support most?
Yeah.
I thought this was fascinating and important for the committee to see. Folks value, and I'm looking at the all responses, the green. Overall, folks value our existing open spaces and our existing trails, and they want us to see them, or they want to see them maintained. So more so than even acquiring additional open spaces, folks want us to maintain our existing open spaces and trails. So just wanted to make sure that I pointed that out. Poor Black Canyon, it has 9% down here, but either way, it's an existing open space. But I just thought that was interesting. And I think over here, we might have seen a little bit of bias because most of our respondents are from Zone 7. So, which is where Bill Bauer's open space is. But this was really cool to see that a lot of folks, that's where their priority is investment in ongoing maintenance of trails that we already have developed. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's a negative comment because I think the trails right now are in outstanding shape. They're all open, there are no blowouts. Drainage is going well. The projects of the last 2 years, it really made a difference. So I'll interpret that as a compliment, I guess. But a reminder that it's a big part of our essential mission is to maintain ongoing maintenance existing trails. Thank you, Jillian. Anybody else have any comments? All right. Well, that's March 10. And is that a work session or just a regular?
That's a work session.
Okay.
So yeah, that'll be a fun one too. So it's not just Bill Bauer's, the survey that'll be presented. We are also going to have a consultant show the construction design plans for Soda Springs Park Phase 3, which is more of Parib's wheelhouse. But if you're interested, there is a Phase 3 to Soda Springs Park. I hesitate to say because we've had so much construction over there. It's not happening this year. We're letting the park breathe for a little bit. But you'll be able to see the construction designs. And Phase 3 is pretty cool. It's not as cool as like building a new playground, but it's still really cool. So that'll be also on March 10th, which is a work session. So council actually won't vote on direction for Bill Bauer's until the March 17th regular city council meeting. So that's when we'll get formal direction from council. The 10th is for discussion about the survey results.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else on Bill Bauer? Otherwise, we'll close that one out. Okay. Move on. We're going to move into this standard operating procedure. And one of the elements of that is election of officers. What the SOP, and there's a model that comes from the city clerk's office, and we're permitted to tinker with it and adjust it as it relates to the unique open space aspects. But one of the elements is early in the year, and the way ours is drafted right now is in the March meeting or by March, we're supposed to do an election of officers or confirm who our existing officers are. The SOP calls for a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. As you know, we have a chair and we have a vice chair. You're welcome to change those. You have the power to do that. Secretary, we don't have, but that's what we've been doing with this AI mechanism that seems to be working. Not to put too fine a point on it, unless one of you wants to volunteer to be the secretary.
So I'm going to interject real quick,
Okay,
Dave.
go
So
ahead.
just so you guys know, don't worry, Parib doesn't have a secretary either. The way that they are structured is they take turns doing the minutes. After their former secretary resigned, no one was interested in being the secretary. So right now, the minute taker kind of rotates throughout the committee. So they got away with it too. So
you.
whatever you guys want to do, as long as you vote and you're in agreement, we'll be okay.
Yeah, thank you for the perspective on that. So what are your thoughts on that? What do you want to do? Because again, we can change the chair, we can change the vice chair, we can appoint a secretary, we can do kind of whatever we can agree to. Judy, what are you thinking?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Okay, all right. That would be a motion to affirm our current officers, but we'll hold on that. Marion, how about?
With regards to the secretary, I think it's a good idea to rotate. It's not really fair to have one person
Okay.
do it. And, either you pre-assign or, you just pick someone out at a meeting, but I think that would be equitable.
I could see certain absences happening if we had a schedule. It's not difficult, and particularly with this AI prompt. I mean, I was certainly critical of the October or the November 17 meeting, but it's pretty well done. I mean, you cross through what's wrong, you correct it, and send it on. So I don't know. What are you guys thinking? Any other thoughts? Robin, you got anything think on that?
Well, I was just going to say, if you are okay with reading through the minutes, but
Yeah.
Marion has a good point that that's not fair to just, you already have so much work that maybe we should rotate it.
Yeah, I don't mind doing it. I like the idea of rotating it because it just engages more of you in the day-to-day of the committee.
Until you see what we do with it.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have time to do it either. I don't know. Anyway. So someone needs to make a proposal so we can,
So I just want to make sure I understand this. All you're saying, what you're saying is the person who is the secretary of a month is really not sitting here writing notes. They're taking whatever comes through the AI and correcting it.
you need to take some notes to make sure you can correct the AI.
Right.
So at a minimum, you would want to take notes of who made the motion, who seconded it, and if it was other than unanimous vote, what was the vote? Yeah, I find I have to take some notes during the meeting in order to check AI.
Okay.
Otherwise, you have to listen to the whole Zoom meeting, or
Oh.
you gotta, move the cursor on the Zoom timeline to listen to certain stuff. But that is available for you to look at if we have a question. We've only had to do that once in the last 4 or 5 months, is go back and listen to something. Yeah, Cassandra.
And who's generating the AI off of Zoom? Is that something, Jillian, you send the secretary of the month? an
Yep.
email?
So
Okay.
after this meeting is over, I get an email from Zoom that has a transcript of the meeting recording, and then the AI summary for each section of the meeting. Like Dave said, they can be hit or miss. So it's important that whoever is taking the minutes was at the meeting. I tried to put together the minutes for a meeting I wasn't at, and it was difficult. And I did end up just listening to the whole meeting again, because it's tough to do if you can't fact check if you weren't there. So, but yeah, so I send out the AI summary and all that information to whoever is doing the minutes. And that's been Dave so far. And you've done a great job, Dave.
Yeah, it's work. I'll be gone probably a couple of meetings during the summer. So Paul will be chairing the meeting, and at that point, you will need to appoint someone to handle it, because I'm sure just the way the calendar will work, I'll be out at least 1, maybe 2. So we'll see. I'd entertain a motion then to affirm the current officers, Judy, if that works for you. Because you had said, don't change it if it's, okay?
I make a motion to retain both the chair and vice chair of OSAC
And a second
for
on that?
20, for this year.
Second by Cheryl Klein. Thank you, Cheryl. Any more discussion on that? And, the other thing is we can, if, certainly if there's a health issue or something like that, we need to change officers. We can do that at any time during a year. It's not like this is fixed for a year. Well, why don't we vote on that? All in favor of Judy's motion to affirm the current officers? Raise your hand. Okay, thank you. That's approved. Andrea, I didn't know if I could catch you or not on that.
Andrea raised her hand.
Is that a raised
Yeah.
hand? Thank you, Andrea. Now we need to turn to that standard operating procedure. I wrote down confirm the fourth Monday. That historically, or at least, who's the longest tenure here? Is it TJ or is it Cheryl? I think it's been Monday, the fourth Monday.
It's definitely been that for at least the last 5 years.
I think it's been that because that makes sure that we have this room available, you know.
Well, I think it was things like what's Jillian's other evening commitments, room availability, and then of course our schedule too. But the point is we're free to tinker with that. As you know, we did it twice in the fall. We've moved meetings because of people's travel or what have you. But is there any interest right now in changing the, if you will, the standing protocol? I'm not seeing any, so we'll stick with fourth Monday. And I don't see Ms. Satella raising her hand, so we're gonna stick with that unless Andrea's got a different thought. Okay. But we do need to approve the formal package, the standard operating procedure. Marion had taken the real oar on rowing this to massage it a bit, make some suggestions. I made some changes. It has a few revision artifacts in it right now that would need to be edited out, but it's pretty clean. Do any of you have any comments or anything you want to change? I would say, is there anything really that I don't know if you want to tinker with or not. I read it again this afternoon and nothing jumped out at me. Anything jumping out at you guys of something you want to discuss or adjust? All righty, Marion and Judy, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say on page 57, it says B, submit the agenda and minutes to staff liaison. Shouldn't we make that 6 days? And then D would be 5 days? Because on D right now, it says X days.
Yeah, it did. Tell me again when it is. I remember.
Page
Yeah, there it
57.
is.
So it has to be in before they prepared and publish it.
Right now, we're trying to do at least 4. If we meet on Monday, we're backing up Sunday, Saturday, Friday. Thursday's really the minimum to get this thing out.
Yeah,
Jillian,
I actually put 6
yeah,
because I think if you get it in and Jillian needs a day off or whatever is happening, it just
Yeah.
doesn't give any wiggle room.
I'm with you on that.
And
That
then,
would be-
and then ensure minutes are prepared and published at least X days. I think it should be at least 4, maybe 5.
So that's the goal, to get it out.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but at least a goal to work for.
Yeah, I agree. So
I
that
don't
would-
think, I don't think X is going to do it.
No,
Just saying. Yeah. Yeah, I should have shut up.
so thank you for that change. That's in the chairperson's duties to make that 6 days before the meeting to get those minutes prepared and published. Anything else that you've stumbled on or that we see, Marion? Anything jumping at you?
Nothing jumps at me. I had put X's because I thought that would be a point of conversation, which it was.
Good, good, it worked. And I'm just reviewing it real quick. No, that works. I do want to give Andrea credit on the orientation for new members. She's the one who had suggested months ago that that's kind of what the orientation packet ought to include. It ought to have the member contact info. It ought to have a map. I added a history of open space acquisitions, but the idea is just to make sure a new member comes on board with a bit of history and some context.
I have a question.
Please.
On G,
Yeah.
orient new members, blah, blah, blah. And then it says they should get a maps of open spaces and trails maps. I was going to suggest that that's done once a year for all the members.
That's done what?
That once a year, we should do that for everybody. Because I think
Okay.
what happens is there's always a lag because as you acquire property, you may not get the map
Okay.
And I just thought it would be nice to have and not say, oh, where is that map from 5 years ago? I know it's in my notes or in my file from 5 years ago and have to go tearing through it. And
Oh, yeah.
it would be maybe nice to tie it into the whole March thing where,
Oh, okay.
where everybody is, where we're getting, our positions fixed for the year and all this stuff. And, maybe it would be a good idea to know that in March, everybody's going to get the current OSAC property maps on the open spaces.
Yeah, Paul, what do you have?
Yeah, to me, it would make sense to update it once a year and then provide that updated either, electronically or printed, however folks want it. Make it available to folks who want to see the updated version. It'd be easy for that to go 2 or 3 years without being updated.
It would.
Yeah.
I lose the electronic more than the.
All right. I'm looking for that provision, Judy. I know
It's
it's
on
there.
page 57, same one.
You're saying you just added at H?
It's G.
Yeah, gee.
Yeah, but I'm not sure what your suggestion is.
My suggestion is it shouldn't just be in the orientation
Oh, okay.
booklet for new members.
Okay.
It should be, all of us should get them updated because it's helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I guess you're saying provide all members.
Right.
Okay. Okay, we got 2 changes on that page, 6 days before the meeting and provide all members with those materials. Any other changes?
Well,
Someone's gonna prepare a motion on this
Was
in a minute.
gonna add.
Judy, please. Yeah, go ahead.
On B, down below where it says secretary,
Yep.
4 minutes to chair and sufficient time to submit with the agenda for the next meeting. Is it a good idea to say sufficient time? Because ask me what my idea of sufficient time is and I'll tell you it's 80 seconds.
Well, it's got to float a little bit.
I know, but maybe it should be something like 4 or 5 days, or I'm just saying, I don't know. If you give me too much of latitude,
Well, let's keep that one general.
okay.
Okay. I hear you. Any other changes? Because we're going to want a motion here to approve this as modified by Judy's 2 suggestions. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead, Paul. Just checking. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, Robin?
Oh,
please.
well, I was going to make a motion to approve the standard operating procedures
As amended with those 2 changes?
amended
Okay,
with the
thank
2
you.
changes.
Motion by Robin and a second by who?
Second.
Up, Paul got that one. Second by Paul to approve the SOP as modified by Judy's 2 changes. Any more discussion on that? Don't see any. All in favor of the motion to approve as modified? And Ms. Satella, Ms. Klein, what are your, Ms.
Andrea raised her hand.
Andrea's got a hand, and thank you, Cheryl. All right, so that's approved. Thank you, and Marion, thank you for your help on this. Okay. All right, we're gonna move then to, so we will, Jillian and I'll make sure this gets corrected and, that the clerk is aware of our adoption of it. So that's where that goes. And, probably distribute it to you just so it's in your material so you can review it. Okay, we'll do it that way. Distribute. On to the next item, fire mitigation plans. City Council had a work session on February 10. Recall this really bubbled up from the October 10 meeting. During the fall, fire department met at least once with Colorado Springs Utilities to talk about fire mitigation. We presented, let's see, no, we didn't. Then what? It came to, I guess it came to the work session was the next, no, council did their budget line item of 590,000, and that's what kept things moving. That's not-
690.
690,000.
690.
Yeah, so this work session item was pretty much led by our fire department. Judy was at the meeting, took some really good notes and made a comment.
Cassandra made it too, I think.
Oh, awesome.
I'm gonna step right out on the back. Go ahead.
Judy, do you want to share your main takeaways?
So the first thing that I thought was really interesting was, I mean, I'm sure you all read this, but basically I got, and maybe Jillian can straighten this out. I got really confused about this chipping business. It sounded to me like first they were saying, we are not, the fire department said, we have our own chipping program on city properties. Am I right? And that does not involve the citizens' neighborhoods chipping days, right?
Yes, and okay, so there are 2 chipping programs in Manitou Springs. The first are 2 chipping days that are hosted by the fire department that are up in the public services yard where any resident can bring a truckload of brush to be chipped by the fire department. There's 2 of those. They're typically on a Saturday, and I think one's in May, one's in September. The second chipping program is hosted by Parks and Rec, our forestry division, where we come to your neighborhood zone and Aaron drives the chipper truck around. And when it's your zone's day, your piles will be out in your front yard and we'll chip the wood right in front of your house and carry it back to public services to offer as free mulch for residents. So the first program are 2 set days in the public services yard where residents come to us. And the second is the neighborhood chipping program where we, Parks and Rec, go to the residents. So we have, it's every other week throughout the summer. The first chipping day starts in April. I forget which zone is first. We draw out of a hat to be fair to everybody. And we try to shuffle it each year. But those run from April through August. And that's where the wood is in your yard. We come to you. If your pile is compliant, we'll chip it for you.
And is that the 7 zones that were on the map earlier?
Yep, the 7 zones.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Cassandra.
And just to clarify that, because Waltham did that, it was a real success. But question is, so you pull out of the hat and then each other week or whatever, you do one zone. So you go to that one zone that week. And then, so then theoretically 14 weeks later, they could get another day. Is that?
Nope.
Or
We
just
only
do
neighborhood chipping is one zone. Each zone gets 1 day per year.
Okay.
Yep.
got it.
So if you're zone 7 and we're going to be in your neighborhood on April 4th, that is your day. That's your opportunity to be there, to have your wood out. And
Yeah.
if you miss your chipping day, that's okay. You can bring your wood. You have to transport it, but you can bring it to the chipper day hosted by the fire department. But you have to bring it up to Public Works.
When you said 4-4, that was an example.
That was an example.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
all panicking over here.
Don't panic. The neighborhood chipping schedule should
Yeah.
already be on our website. So you can find out when your zone is. And what I'll do is I'm going to email it to you guys after this meeting. So you can tell your friends, tell your neighbors, but the more the merrier. We love the chipper program. We think it's really fun. And just make sure your piles are compliant, please. All the wood facing the same direction is really helpful. It helps the guys really just get through the piles quickly.
Do they ever run out of daylight in a neighborhood?
Yep. If they do, so chipper days can take up to 3 days. The reason I'm telling you it's 1 day is because if I tell you it's 3 days, we're going to have folks who wait until the 3rd day
Yeah.
to get their pile out, and we will not pick it up. If your pile is not out on the first day, you've missed it. So it's pretty strict, but it's also, we have to keep it like that or else we could be there all week. So that's how it runs.
And then on top of that, the city itself is working on city properties all
Correct.
the time.
Mhm.
So that was the key to this thing with the fire department, because they were very enthused about the chipping, but they were also very conscious of the fact that there seems to be a citizen disconnect about people saying, well, what are you doing with that chipper all year? What they're doing is they're doing city properties all the time. And there's been a tremendous difference in the number of properties, city properties that have not been cared for because they're really working at it. Because I think there's a huge recognition and an urgency on city council to get fire mitigation to be a part of our lives. And I think that came through very, very clear at the council meeting, the working session. And then, yeah, the next thing was, they had this big discussion about vacant properties, which if you'd been on OSAC for a while, you know that 3 years ago, with Tim, we embarked on a program to get all the properties that are adjacent, that are small, unbuildable and adjacent to private properties mapped. So we would know how many, of which there are many, 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 and where they are, and if there's any salvageable, anything that might connect to another trail. And the answer in the majority, vast majority, was absolutely not. That led to a discussion led by Jeff Berry at a city council meeting. Why isn't the city asking neighbors of those properties if they're interested to mitigate them? If they want to, and they should, because they're huge fire hazards, because nobody's taking care of them. And at that meeting, city had more on their hands than they wanted. And they just said it was not the time. They just couldn't manage it. And now they're all hot to do it. So.
And who's they?
Who's they?
The-
Citizens. No, Manitou citizens are really upset and
Okay.
and anxious about fire.
No, I hear that, but what you said was that I thought you were referring to the city council saying that they had too much on their hands and they
City
could not
council said they could not,
manage it.
they turned Jeff Berry down. He wanted to know, could he do something and how would the city feel about that? And they said, well, we're not in a position right now to deal with this. I was there at the meeting,
Okay, and that was when?
3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, thank you.
And then, so now we're at the other end of it because now people are generally really anxious. And we saw this. Then they went into this discussion about, what are they calling it, Jillian, the Citizens Day?
No, that's Citizen Connect. That's an open house for citizens to
Yeah.
come here
Yeah,
to meet people from utilities, the city clerks, to
Mhm.
parks, could be OSAC, fire department, police department.
right. And that is when, on March something,
7.
March 7th.
And
And so
just interjecting, Andrea does have her hand up when you're
Oh.
finished, Judy.
I can stop and let Andrea talk. Anyway, Andrea, do you want to say something?
You know what? I might just go right after you're finished. So thanks.
Oh, so then what happened was, I stood up and said, as you read, that we had done this work on these properties. We had mapped them and we didn't find much of anything that connected possibly to anything. These are just literally lots that in the main, apparently people ceded back because they weren't using them. So they figured, I don't want to pay taxes on this. So the city ends up with all these ridiculous lots. Anyway, then we talked about fire mitigation on them. And what we're trying to do, hopefully, is at least start letting people know that this program is coming. And that they will be able to, as citizens, if they have an adjoining lot, have the support of the city, but I don't know what that looks like yet in terms of fire mitigation on these adjacent lots, which are, they're fire hazards. And no, they're not going to make a tremendous difference if there's some huge, terrible firestorm. But in the main, anything we can do to mitigate is better than nothing. And so that's how this whole discussion came up about, and then the fire chief was the whole time was saying, we've got your back. We want this. We want this. So apparently they're real interested too in helping. And yeah. Okay, Andrea. Andrea?
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Excellent. So I didn't actually attend that meeting, but I watched it. And I just had a couple of thoughts. So I shared, Dave, just a summary of what I kind of, my takeaways were with you. I don't know if you want to read that at some point or share with the other people in the committee, but, there, so it sounds like, the fire department is presenting, the stages of, how are we going to mitigate the area? And so the first kind of thing they talked a lot about was the sirens and updating that. And so that would be, like the first chunk of that money that they have allocated for fire mitigation would go towards, it sounds like, or, they're moving in that direction. And they also thought, the fire department thought that, they might need a consultant to kind of help with the next part of the plan. And I thought council kind of pushed back on that a little bit, or some people did, just because they want to move ahead quickly. And, lots of consultants just means more time and all that. But however, I will say that later in that meeting, it really kind of stood out to me that we do not have a risk assessment for our open spaces. The fire department does have a risk assessment map that they've made, and I think that's the one that maybe people referenced when they made that decision to not approve the OSAC fire mitigation project in Black Canyon. But that fire risk map does not include trees and vegetation. It only is an assessment of structures in those different areas. And a lot of those structures, they have characteristics that you can't change. So it's like, this is a high risk house because of, the way it faces and the siding on the house, things like that. So interestingly, that risk assessment map doesn't include our open spaces. And so that sounded like that does need to happen. And the fire department wants to work on that, and it kind of indicated that they could and do that work in-house. But I really think that that's something where we could maybe help. I'm not exactly sure how, but I think need some help just like figuring out which of our open spaces are actually high risk, and which are not, and where have we done mitigation and that kind of thing. I'd say that was kind of a big takeaway from that. They're pulling data from different sources to figure out different levels of risk, like within our community. And they have some different ideas with how to communicate that with people and how to use that data in different ways. And yeah, they did talk about the Black Canyon thing. And they mentioned that, so the original bid was for 35 acres. And that came back at about 150,000. But then they said that only about 15 of those acres could be mitigated because of slope, steepness, stuff like that. And that they had reached back out to the contractor, and they said that for those remaining 14 acres that could be mitigated, it would be about $60,000, and that's a plan that's still ready to go if desired. So, but it still sounds like, they're saying that Red Mountain looks to be probably a more in need location of mitigation, which makes sense. It's directly adjacent to a whole lot of other land that we don't own, and needs to be mitigated as well. So they kind of talked about Red Mountain as the next big project and trying to get some kind of proposal to council for that soon. And that would be the fire department, I think, that would be working on that. Yeah, and then Judy also just made a note that she is going to share the OSAC list of open space parcels, or one of us will, with council and the fire department. And that's all I got.
I met, this is Dave, I met with Denise Howell on Friday on a couple of matters, and on the fire mitigation, because I did not, was out of town for Feb 10. I asked her about that. She said the city had already identified 2 consultants that they intended or were requesting proposals from, that they had not been able to identify a third. They wanted to get 3, but that these guys, these firms are in high demand and they only have so much capacity, and so far it was only two. But it sounds like they're making some real progress on pursuing that. I presume the consultant would be what Andrew was just describing, to focus on maybe the word's more holistic, but fire risk assessment, including structures as well as vegetation, because that's what was missing, according to Andrea. Judy, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you're talking about they need a third to get 3 bids, right?
That would be their preference,
Yeah.
the city's preference.
Yeah, they're not
but they may
hiring
not
3
be able to.
They're
do
not
that.
hiring 3 consultants. They're
No.
trying to get a bid. They're trying to get bids.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So it sounds like that's moving along, and the goal would be for fire department to come back to council, I presume, with a plan. I think that was the instruction or a proposal. Is that, Jillian, what you understand, or Judy, what's the next step? Because it's great to everyone to be excited, but what's the next step? Who's doing it? Sounds like fire department and city administration is.
Well, I was not at the meeting. I did listen to it. So what I gathered is the big open spaces, FD is making the plan for those. That is not OSAC's job.
Yeah.
The smaller parcels, we did identify and send the map out to council. And I don't know if you guys have it. I should send it to you. So our GIS technician, Tony, he took all the random open space parcels in the city and made this really awesome map where like the parcel numbers are listed on the side and then the open spaces are shown in green on the map. It's a big map. I'd recommend printing it out
Very
like
big.
on a large sheet of paper. But it's really helpful because it really shows you how many random parcels we have. And I did review the miscellaneous open space parcels document that our some of our OSAC staff years ago went through. That was a lot of work. And almost every parcel is, does fire mitigation need to happen? Yes. So, I mean, it's not going to be that difficult to identify where mitigation needs to happen. There are just so many of these parcels. And I think that could be a strategy that OSAC helps to develop is how do we slowly but steadily mitigate these smaller parcels that are more digestible versus the big ones that our fire department needs to contract out that we can't handle in-house.
Well, I think that's the whole idea of getting citizens involved, is to say, look, you're worried about this and it's tiny. It's a little, it's whatever it is next door to you. And are you interested? And then developing guidelines. And I don't know if the city's in a position to do a tool lending thing. I really don't know, but obviously liability would have to be addressed. There's a lot of things to be addressed, but the thing is to get going, to not make people feel like the city's sitting asleep. And I think that's really important because I think people, especially this year, this winter, this non-winter winter, people are getting really anxious. I have to tell you, where I work, that's what we talk about. Is every day is it's so dry and it's so dangerous out there. And what would we do if we had to move 32 horses in an hour? What would we do? Because we don't have enough trailers. I mean, this is a daily stress point. And that's obviously not in the city, but I think in Manitou, people are really worried because we've been through 2 of these already very recently. Don't want to do a third.
Anyone get any sense of a time frame from the fire department? No.
Well,
I didn't think so.
let's see, we've got your back and we're working on it and we understand it and we're trying to work as hard as we can and as fast as we can. But I still think that we should somehow because we've already started down this road a little bit, we could be helpful in helping these folks. If we put our heads to it, be creative and suggest some things to the fire department and say, could you do this with them? Could you, and get a liability release? So if something, they one day woke up and said, I've got today to do this, could they do it? It's a start. That's all.
Anybody else right now? Robin, were you thinking something? No? Okay. I, I think because there are so many details, you just rattled off 6 or 7 right there. The only way for us to do that, I think, is probably just to have a work session and see who wants to participate in just a conversation of, let's just pick zone 3. Here's the map. Here's all those outlots, the vacant open space lots. How would we approach that? How might we approach that neighborhood to do what Judy's proposing, to enable them to self-help, join the fire department, join who to mitigate, do it themselves? How would we support that? Or how could we prompt it? I don't know how else to dive into the details because we can't do
Well,
it. Yeah.
actually, you just gave me an idea, another one, because you know, when we don't have fires, the fire guys are still at the firehouse. And wouldn't it be cool if we could have that, what you just described, and say on such and such a date, this fire person is available, assuming there's no calls in the fire department.
Yeah.
And he will come out and help you focus and help you identify what it is that you would be best for you to put your efforts into if you wanted to mitigate the lot next to you you're worried about. I mean, think about that. It would be so reassuring to say, on this Saturday, so-and-so's available in zone 2 or something for just expertise and help.
Well, I understand the fire department is available. You can call them and they will come out to your house and
Yeah,
talk
but
to you
I'm
about.
saying if they knew that this was their day on zone 3, they might take a look at zone.
You'd have to publicize it, but that's, if we want to plan that or at least evaluate how we might plan that, I think we could do it. I just
Yeah.
think it's going to take that kind of hands-on session. TJ, what do you think?
I'm happy that we're looking at these small parcels, but I'm just as afraid as my neighbors that don't clean up their yards as well as a hazard. So when we're looking at this and thinking about enlisting the help of the fire department to go out there and talk to people, I think it would be a better use of their time if we do it street by street and get a bunch of people together and do it all at once. That way you can talk about private property, public property, and all that at once.
Yeah, be more efficient, wouldn't it? Yeah. Cassandra, what are you thinking?
Perhaps it could be coordinated with the chipper zone. So we say,
Sure.
okay, zone whatever is this day, and a week or 2 prior, we get some guidance or some organization. Because my takeaway really from that meeting was that the department feels, just overwhelmed, right? This is a major situation and they want expertise and why they wanted to hire the consultant. But when the council asked, so what's that timeline? It was like a 6-month. And so then council said, we gave all this money and we're going to be like almost at the end of the year before we've even spent it or made any dent. We need action now. So it seems like we just need a 6-month sort of plan, short-term, immediate, something where the citizens are involved. City council feels like they can say to the citizens, we are putting the money where you need it. And there just needs to be action. And I think the big comprehensive plan is awesome, but that takes too long for the way the citizens feel right now. And so what can we do in the 6 months before we get this super plan? Is there something? And it's like the department kept saying, we are always doing things, but the citizens, it's because it's not organized. Nobody knows that Mike Willie's out, responding to any call that comes his way to come out and evaluate your property. Nobody knows that, if they're not having calls, they say they are going out and chopping down wood where they see it just sitting on the ground or whatever, anything they can. But because there's no organized plan, I think none of us know. And they kept saying, we are doing things, but everyone else kept saying, we need to see it. Yeah, we need to see it, maybe even get involved. And so that was the sense I got. And I don't know whose bucket that falls into. How do we fill the 6-month gap with action now that the citizens feel, participate, whatever? Because there's parks, there's fire, there's OSAC, there's council, and I don't know who runs it or gets it going, but I do feel there is a 6-month gap that doesn't have a spearhead, and there's a lot of anxiety.
Well, that's because we're here at the end of February and there's nothing new under the sun as far as the citizens go. And we're coming on fire season. We've been in it all winter, but we're now coming on the official fire season. And some things came up in that meeting. Did you know that most of you probably do, that the fire department, contrary to what a lot of people in Manitou think, cannot come down and take down your tree for you. You have to they'll take it away for you if you chop it, but they don't come down on private property and take down trees. But what was interesting, because I didn't know this, is there is some financial help if you need it for having a tree that's dead taken down.
Yeah.
Well, and that exactly, there is stuff happening, but it's hard to figure how to tell people. So what the department did, because of all this anxiety, I believe a year ago or whenever, put Mike Willie in charge of going to anybody's house. And the other thing is, once they identify problems, you can apply for a grant. I think it's up to 5,000, and they'll match half of the cost of whatever your project costs. But again, not the fire department to handle it. It would have to be you hire
Private.
somebody. But a lot of people don't know that. So, that was
Okay, yeah, just
Okay.
for the, Carrie Storm was saying that was approved for last year, but that program has expired. So it's not for 2026,
we
Carrie?
don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Well, they did say during that meeting, during the working session, that there was money to help people if they could not afford by themselves to get a contractor. That was right during the meeting. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. But I think the thing is, we're hoping that to get launched on the 7th with, even if just the fire department had a sheet with a, did you know? Just information so that people could say, I'm going to call. And the other problem about Mike is during that meeting, didn't they say he's only working 2 days a week? Yeah. So how is he going to do all this? That's a problem. And that's a big problem.
If anybody's interested, if they almost sound interested in this, the Colorado Springs is doing a full update on their wildfire mitigation plan tomorrow at Glen Erie Castle. And I'm going, because I want to see all of the updates they're planning to do for wildfire mitigation. I think it'll be really interesting. So if anybody's interested, it's at Glen Erie Castle tomorrow night at 6:30.
Oh, at night?
Yeah, 6:30 at night.
Oh, yay.
I'm going, so I am very interested to see what everybody else is
Gary.
doing.
Thanks for, yeah. Thanks for the update. So given that discussion, does anyone want to make a proposal for OSAC to do anything? You want to discuss it another time? Do you want to set another meeting? Do you want to do a work session? Do you want to push it off to March? Do
So
you have any specific ideas that you want to put on the table, Jillian?
yes. So tomorrow, Judy and I are meeting with Mike Willie to go over, and this is, by the way, the beautiful open space inventory map and those tiny numbers on the side that looks like a barcode. Those are all of the miscellaneous open space parcels. So you can zoom, this is what I'll send to you guys. You can zoom in. It takes a minute because there's a lot of data on this map, but all of these green, oh, I don't know what I clicked, but all of the green spaces are open space parcels. So what I'm going to propose is similar to our Adopt a Park program. We do an adopt an open space, and the fire department hosts like a 4-hour training on how to do basic mitigation, how to remove dead brush from a like super simple. I know there are folks who know how to use chainsaws in Manitou. They could be maybe certified through the fire department to lead a crew. And then if folks want to, they could adopt one of these random parcels in their neighborhood and fold it into the neighborhood chipping program. Because all they would need to do is bring that brush to the edge of the open space and we would pick it up and absorb it as part of the program. So I think that's something we could do that's easy-ish, or in that 6-month gap, right, to handle. But Parks and Rec does not have the bandwidth to host a bunch of training. We could help the fire department with some trainings for citizens and maybe do the tool share that you suggested, Judy. But that's what I thought could be some action that we take in the meantime is there's so many of these little parcels and a lot of them are really steep. I know, Robin, you probably remember from when you guys did the assessments a few years ago. These aren't the most desirable areas, but they're areas that are being preserved as open space that do need mitigated. So that's what we'll be chatting about. And we could do an update for OSAC at the March meeting after we chat with Mike tomorrow on that one.
Or even a memo in between.
Yeah.
Really, if you could, Judy, if you guys can do that. Okay. Yeah, Cheryl?
I didn't quite get clear. Did you say, Jillian, that the 4-hour training is for the public or for?
Well, suggested, but yeah, a training hosted by the fire department for any resident or anyone who wants to learn how to mitigate. Like a lot of people don't really understand what fire mitigation is. So that could be helpful first of all, and then how to safely and properly mitigate a small property would be helpful. And like identifying when a tree and any tree removals do need to go through the city, just so you guys know, on open space properties, we wouldn't just want folks cutting down trees, please. That's tough on my department when we have too many removals. But yes, a training for the public, and maybe you can get a certificate or something that you've been through this training. But we would also need folks to sign waivers if they're doing any sort of volunteer work on our properties. But that's just what we do for trail work days and for folks who volunteer for our Adopt a Park program. So nothing new. It would just be opening up these miscellaneous parcels for volunteers as well as our regular parks and trails and our big open spaces.
Yeah.
Also to identify trees that are needing to come down? Is that what you meant?
That could be part of the training. Trees, we would like to probably leave those to our staff to do, but there's a lot of low hanging fruit, like a bunch of dead scrub oak that's throughout some of these properties that could easily be cut out by volunteers. And then if there's a big hazard tree, reporting it to our team would be helpful. And then we would do those bigger removals because we have the right equipment. So yeah, I think it could be fun.
I just wanted to say that I'm really for that idea, that's exactly what I was wanting, was is a training day and then a day where it's a day we're set close to chipping where we can go in and there's a crew of us volunteers who can go in and take care of some of these parcels.
Question, when you said the fire department could do a day for training, is that preceding each zone day, or it's like a once a year, all 7 zones come out? Because I think what would be really cool, and I know we got Mike Willie for 2 days and maybe we just need 5 Mike Willies, but is like, I feel like what we're looking for, this lift for the next 6 months that would really engage the community and make them feel like we're listening, that all the people, all the city admin is listening, is like the fire department there would be like a calendar and it's all coordinated, right? OSAC's contribution was identifying these parcels. Parks and Rec is bringing the chipper. Fire department is doing the training. So zone 1, it's this day, here's your map, here's your training, here's your chipper day. And that would just feel so robust. I think it matches the robust anxiety that people feel. If they hear you get 1 day to come out and learn, and then your zone is happening in, 3 months. I don't think that matches the level of anxiety. Now that said, I know it's a heavy lift, but 7 4-hour certain days, I think seems like the right ask. I don't know if the fire department can do that, but I know there was funding. I know that they are willing to.
Well, they might not be able to do it, but Manitou's full of people that are very capable of training other folks on how to do this. So, and just like when we have our volunteer trail work days, we don't have city staff at all of those.
Okay.
We have trained crew leaders.
Someone who's certified.
Yeah. So maybe maybe FD could train some of our crew leaders so they're saying the right things at these trainings.
Yeah.
And then we have volunteers leading the 5 of the 6 trainings or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
this feels good.
the other thing is too, that there are more fire department people, including volunteers, who are not Mike Willie, but doesn't mean Mike Willie can't help them learn what they need to learn to run these trainings. So, I mean, what we've got to do is not get more Mike Willies. We've got to multiply Mike's effect. That's what we have to do if we're going to do this.
And maybe these things can be recorded and, on Zoom and everything else. So reach them in every possible way. Not everybody can go to these meetings. So have them recorded, have them available and publicize that.
You have to narrate the trainings, Marion. You have to narrate the videos because you did such a good job with our open space announcement. And that could be cool because we could have that on our website too, like Fire Mitigation 101.
I'm happy to do that if somebody gives me the script.
I'll write the script. That'll be fun.
So what do we have right now is Judy and Jillian are meeting with Mike tomorrow. Okay. And if you guys could get a memo out to update the committee so we can, because Judy's whole point is we just got to keep this moving. If we can contribute to that, that'll really help. Okay. Any other comments on fire mitigation for now? Any more? Okay, not hearing none. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, particularly Cassandra and Andrea and Judy for observing the meeting, the Feb 10 meeting. Let's move down to new business. We have some trail maintenance matters coming up. We've got, we've already mentioned the VOC, April 4th, Trail Day. Paul and I will meet between now and then to try to outline a bit more specifics for 4 or even 5 crews on that day. So we'll get that on our list. Then we have 2 items under this agenda. One is Pikes Peak Trail Cats had called Jillian, just like Corey Satella did at the beginning of the meeting, saying that Medicine Wheel and Cats are looking for volunteer work days. So we need to identify some opportunities for them. We don't have to identify the project specifically, but just get some things on the calendar because that's how people plan. But if any of you have suggestions for specific work projects, don't hesitate to put them on the table. And then the other one was RIMFE and whether we choose to engage RIMFE for 1, 2, or 3 weeks this year. They have a narrow opening in April that we probably won't make. So it would probably be September or October work where they have time and they're asking if we want to commit to do that. So instead of taking those separately, I don't know if that's efficient or not, but let's just open up trail maintenance. And what do we want to do about RIMFE? Do we have any ideas on Cats and Medicine Wheel at this time? What are you thinking, Paul? How do you want to suggest we approach things?
Well, I mean, obviously we have should have volunteer projects in Black Canyon, and that may be the priority this year is to
That's right.
to plug them into Black Canyon trail construction and realignment of the existing social trails.
Because we know we can prepare a pretty full list of segments to be worked on.
Correct.
Yep.
In terms of maintenance on existing trails, Red Mountain probably could use some work. It presents a little bit of challenge. I think it's a little far out for trail cats. They like to work on stuff that's a little closer to the trailhead, and then it's not really a mountain bike trail. So
Yeah.
I don't know if Medicine Wheels, but there are a few other projects. I think my thought would be we would tell everyone the primary goal would be to plug them in at Black Canyon. And if for some reason there's an issue with Black Canyon, we would find a maintenance project on one of the existing trails to work on. There's some wooden structures on the Intamin Trail, kind of past where we worked last year, that probably could use some tuning up. So,
how often do you think we could support that kind of effort? Could we do one a month? Could we do May, June, July, August, September?
yeah, I think we could do once a month this summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we could. Any other thoughts on that? On where to engage Cats, Medicine Wheel, how, when, where? Yeah, Judy.
I want to know, because I don't know how to look at this myself. How do you decide? I mean, are we under constraints because of what we did? Are we under financial constraints?
These are volunteer work days, and so the
Oh,
cost.
we don't
is-
pay rem fee? Sure we do.
Well, Renfree's different,
Yeah.
but let's turn to that in just a minute. But in terms of CATS and Medicine Wheel, our support, they're usually providing the tools. Medicine Wheel and CATS usually come up with their own refreshments. The volunteers bring their own as well. So for the volunteer work days, it's pretty much costless.
Okay, what about rem fee?
Well, let's turn to that then.
I just don't know off the top of my head if we're committing to something we can't right now afford because of the other
We
issues.
do, the budget that was approved by council, it was 55,000 unrestricted trail maintenance. And it was a
Oh,
line
oh,
item
okay.
just to hold funds, not sure what might come up. What drove that number in part was 27,000 that could be allocated to RIM fee if you guys approved it or not, just because we had done it for the last 3 years. We weren't required to do that, but that's part of what drove that number. And then we didn't know what we might be spending on Black Canyon as well. So yes, we do have a sufficient budget to do some paid trail work, to answer that question. Jillian, you had some comments on just preserving the relationship, that you thought that was important to do.
Yeah, I think Renfree's a great partner. They do great work. And I think the safe thing with rehiring Renfree is we will have a professional crew that we can guarantee will get some trail work done. We'll be able to do the same with volunteers, but they're volunteers. So having our regular contractor come in to do some maybe more technical work, especially when we're working on some of the proposed trails in Black Canyon, it might just be a safe bet and something that we can guarantee will get completed this year. And it's one of OSAC's goals this year are the development of the trails in Black Canyon. So I think we could definitely use them. And I think our contract last year or the past few years has been 26,000 for 3 weeks of work. So just to give you guys a frame of reference for the cost. And if we don't need them for 3, we could do 2 weeks, but they do need to know relatively soon to keep us penciled in on their schedule because they fill up pretty quick.
Now, one advantage of their schedule is that because we met, and I'm sorry, his name eludes me, the Renfree.
Carl Woody,
Woody,
their
thank you.
program manager.
Program manager. Jillian and I and Paul, were you there, Cassandra? I don't know if you know, I guess not, at that meeting. Again, they would be focused on a September, October timeframe. So that would give us months to evaluate other volunteer trail work. And then by August, we would want to be planning that with Renfree for what it would be, where it would be, but we could certainly be prepared to do that. So that could work.
And they would, if Black Canyon doesn't work out for them, Red Mountain would be
Yeah.
a very good project for them.
Yep. I mean, I could certainly entertain, just my own opinion, just 2 weeks. This is a crew, Jillian, Paul, help me here. I thought they said their crew was at least 5 people. 5 to 6, I think is what Carl said. And obviously because they're experienced, they do it every day, can get a fair amount of work done. As you recall, they did the trail reroute on Inman a year ago. So what's your pleasure on that? Do you want to, it would be to make a motion for 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks, or none? Robin, go ahead.
Well, I'm more leaning towards 3 weeks. If we do get Black Canyon, I think there'll be a lot of work. And when I was up on Red Mountain, if you ask me, I think it could use a lot of work. So
Mhm.
I would say 3.
Okay, thank you.
Second it.
Cheryl?
My second.
So let me.
So I will make a motion for 3 weeks for Renfree in what, approximately September
Yeah, for the fall schedule.
for the fall schedule.
Okay, 3 weeks. And Cheryl, may I have your second on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Got to have my notes for AI here, so bear with me.
I have a question for
And then, yeah,
Jillian.
Judy, more discussion.
I have a question for Jillian. Is there a age minimum for volunteers on these projects when we have volunteers?
16
16. Is
For-
that?
for trail work projects. I mean, any age kiddo can sign up or have their parents sign them up for things like picking up litter, like during our Creek Week cleanups.
Yeah.
But generally 16 is our minimum.
And are these events communicated to the high schoolers when they're in session and these events come?
Our trail work volunteer events, I don't believe so. I think they're mainly Pikes Peak Trail Cats, or I guess whoever their volunteer circle that's made up. I guess I've seen a few younger kids at some of our trail work days, but generally it's adults is what I've noticed.
Is that not a good idea?
It is, but it didn't work very well on the Mustang Way Trail that Manitou Cats worked 2 years to redo a trail behind the high school parking lot up to Inniman. And we only had one high school student, and but he came out both years, and he got a whole lot of mentoring from the men and women who were there both times. TJ?
I've done some crew leading on projects like in the Garden and the Gods with younger participants in the past for various service organizations. And it's generally better for getting work done and for safety if the 16-year-old floor is maintained.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
I was just wondering if that was a good way to get high school kids involved in what this community is doing.
Yeah, my experience, the bigger limiting factor is the folks who can organize the work days. A lot of the work days I've seen Cats or Medicine Wheel do, the limit is reached almost, immediately.
Oh.
And
You mean volunteers?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we really, I haven't seen like a challenge with enough volunteers.
Okay.
It's, we could, if we want to expand, we need to have more volunteer days so that we have more opportunity. And in fact, some of the challenge of getting new people in is that I know one of our volunteer days, 16 of the 18 people were crew leaders.
Yeah.
It was just like, there wasn't, if you weren't really tied in and an experienced trail volunteer, you probably wouldn't have even gotten the opportunity to sign up for it because all the experienced folks jumped in. So,
Okay.
yeah.
What a problem.
So we've got a motion on the floor to authorize 3 weeks of REMFE for their fall schedule. Any more discussion on that? More thoughts? Well, why don't we call that question? All in favor of approving Robin's motion for 3 weeks, REMFE? And Ms. Satella, are you still with us? Let's see, maybe. Yes. Golly, you are fast with that hand. Thank you, Andrea. Okay, so that motion is approved. Thank you. Anything else on trail maintenance before we leave that? I think Paul and I will have an update then for the March meeting. We'll start penciling out some schedule. And Jillian mentioned that Katz had already contacted her, so we'll respond to Corey and just see what our pencil calendar looks like come March. So we can have to do that. And for future agenda, right now, the items coming up are the fire mitigation update for March. El Paso County Parks may be here with their trail team. I don't mean their trail volunteers. I mean the guys who plan the trail extensions. Bill Bauer will have done the March 10 meeting with council and perhaps March 17 as well. And then we'll have this trail calendar, at least an update on the status of that. Any other suggestions for Cheryl Klein?
Yes, could Judy and I get together with you to schedule a date on the Walton meeting?
Mhm.
And you said that.
Yeah,
needed
let's,
to be- So.
before we leave, let's just pick a date. We can do that.
And then we could
put it in.
report back next meeting, which is what.
Now, I'm having
if-
trouble hearing you, Cheryl, so
I don't-
I'm sorry. No, you're,
looking There.
it's my
okay.
hearing, it's not
So,
you. It's,
and then we could report back next month
Okay.
because that's what the SOP says subcommittees are supposed to report. I just read that.
Yeah. I can't hear any of that. I'm sorry.
I said, then we could report back next month as
Okay.
the SOP says we should do. The
Okay.
Committees should report.
Okay. All right. Anything else? That is the end of our agenda. Robin, did you know? Somebody was looking? Anybody else? And unless Andrea's got something, then we can do a motion to adjourn. Again, the city clerk is telling me we need a motion to adjourn, so we have to, it's on the prompt here.
Oh, I love to, a motion to adjourn.
By Robin,
Second.
second by Cheryl. Thank you both for doing that. All in favor, say aye. Okay, and Andrea's already, Andrea's on it. All right, thank you, guys. We'll close.
Thanks, Andrea.
Here at 7:45. And I'll follow up with Cheryl and Judy.
Good night, everybody.
These out of your microphones, and they go in that trunk under the air conditioner.
What's happening?